Hello and welcome to Who Wore It Better, where I review Raw and Smackdown back to back and try and figure out which show won for the week. It's a go-home week for Survivor Series, of course, and really in the last 7 days or so, this whole card has gone from looking like meh to Raw begins with Stephanie McMahon coming to the ring, which really, as every episode of Raw should, am I right, folks? She brings out Kurt Angle and just continues to berate him and cut his balls off over his transgressions and supposed failures as GM. It's the Mick Foley thing all over again, and it doesn't get any easier to watch or less frustrating to watch. Every time it happens, your soul dies a little bit more, just a little bit more inside, and it just keeps going on like this. She keeps yelling at Kurt Angle. Kurt does nothing about it, berating him over picking Jason Jordan over John Cena. Stephanie asked this one question to Kurt, and it really stuck in my mind. She goes, "Don't you know what's on the line?" And I'm like, no, what is on the line here? What is at stake at Survivor Series? Like nothing, except for, bragging rights, pardon the pun, pardon the term, but there's nothing on the line here except for, brand supremacy and bragging rights. So it's like there's no championships on the line. Nothing is going to be won or lost depending on the outcome of matches, really. Steph is about to fire Kurt on the spot, but out comes the Shield, including the returning Roman Reigns, who gets a nice big face pop from the Atlanta crowd. They love him coming out in the entrance. They love his promo. I think his promo is pretty strong as well when they challenge the New Day. A very strong opening segment over the second half of it, at least, once the Shield showed up. Again, I hate Stephanie as a character, and I know that's supposed to be like the goal. That's the design. You're supposed to hate Stephanie, but the problem is there's no payoff to that. It's hard to wait once a year at WrestleMania for her to take a bump, and then we go, yay, okay, well, you're forgiven now. That's not how it works. If Stephanie's going to be out there, it's like, unless she starts, finally feeling the spirit of her old man and starts, getting humiliated every week like he used to do in the late 90s, then it's not fun to watch her out there. Women's triple threat to determine who will be the 5th member of Team Raw Survivor Series. Bayley, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke. The big story here is that Dana Brooke at one point pokes the bear. She gets in Asuka's face and she pays dearly for it. She eats a kick for her troubles. Bayley hits Mickie James with a belly-to-belly to win the match and join Team Raw, which is all well and good, but I feel like this is kind of like a pointless move. The fact that, it was delayed by a week, it's like, what was the point of that? I feel no storyline progression was really made there. No character building was made for Bayley there. She just she was shunned by Alicia Fox last week, and she wins this match this week. Yay! What was really gained? What new things changed? What changed the perception? Of Bayley from a couple of weeks ago to now. I don't really see it. Enzo Amore and Drew Gulak taking on Kalisto and Akira Tozawa. First, I want to say more just how much I'm enjoying Drew Gulak's character here. It kind of reminds me of Andy Samberg in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The way he responded to when Enzo did the "How you doing?" He goes, "I'm doing very good, thank you very much." His delivery just kind of reminded me of Jake Peralta in Brooklyn Nine-Nine for some reason. Fun little match here, great flying by the faces. The match ends when Enzo gets very crafty. He throws Tozawa into Kalisto and hits Tozawa with the Jaw Dunzo to win the match. Gives some momentum going into Survivor Series, where he and Kalisto will fight for the Cruiserweight Championship in the kickoff match because, of course. He's the subject of the next few weeks of Marine Month reviews on this channel. It's The Miz hosting Miz TV. He cuts a promo on Baron Corbin again this week, and the feud with he and Corbin, the feud if you want to call it that, I feel like it's very one-sided because The Miz has had all this TV time to cut promos on Baron Corbin, whereas Corbin's time, his promos against The Miz have been relegated to social media, which it's there, but I feel doesn't have as much of an impact as television. Corbin has had this feud with Sin Cara, which we'll talk about in a minute, and that's been well and good, but it has kind of prevented him from getting his words in on The Miz from SmackDown's side. Anyway, The Miz brings in Cesaro and Sheamus, and the three of them all cut very strong promos about their opponents for Survivor Series. Sheamus and Cesaro talk about the Usos. The Miz talks about Baron Corbin more and the Shield, because they're going to be all fighting the Shield later in the night. Very strong promos by all three guys. Jason Jordan taking on Bray Wyatt, who we have not seen since before the build to TLC when he's doing the whole Sister Abigail thing. Then he got sick, so they pulled the plug, and he comes back out here just regular Bray Wyatt with the lantern as he was. No mention, not a peep of Sister Abigail, and that makes me furious. I know most people will say, fine, good riddance. I hated that angle. The Sister Abigail thing was stupid, even though we never gave it a chance. So, fine, I'm glad it's not being mentioned. But, I think it's extremely insulting to the intelligence of the viewers if you're going to be building the Sister Abigail thing, and then this unforeseen circumstance happens where they got to pull the plug on it because he's sick, but then to not even bring it up, to just totally kill the thing dead. The fact that they brought Bray Wyatt back for this segment, because the whole point of it's supposed to be Kurt Angle puts Jason Jordan in this match so he can prove himself and prove his worth for Team Raw for Survivor Series. And in the end, Bray loses via roll-up, big fucking shock, but then he gets his heat back by beating up Jason Jordan and hurting his knee. Did you really need to bring Bray Wyatt back for that segment? You could have put literally anybody else in that spot, and you could have done the same exact thing at the end. Jason Jordan wins, and the guy gets his heat back and beats up Jason Jordan. You could have had Kurt Hawkins doing it, and it would have been the same thing. Because what does it matter? Because Bray's not going to be at Survivor Series. He's not taking Jason Jordan's place in the team at Survivor Series. So what was the point of bringing Bray Wyatt back for this? To me, it was just it was a waste of a return. There was no need to sacrifice Bray for this segment, especially insulting when you consider the fact the last time we saw him, he was doing the Sister Abigail thing. Now there's no mention of it at all. Also worth mentioning, after Bray got his heat back and beat up Jason Jordan, the fans were chanting, "Thank you, Wyatt," and singing, "Hey, hey, goodbye to Jordan." I'm pretty sure that was not the reaction they were going for. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman come out to talk about AJ Styles. Rather, Paul Heyman talks about AJ Styles. Brock just stands there like he usually does. At one point in the middle of the promo, I thought I was hearing fans chanting TNA, but then it turns out they were chanting "She Said Yes" because some fan was proposing to his girlfriend mid-promo, and Heyman kind of chewed him out for it. But the whole thing with the promo was Heyman gave 5 points as to why you should watch Survivor Series and watch Lesnar and AJ Styles Survivor Series. Really, all you could have done was to say 1 point. It ain't gonna be gender, and the fans would have popped. Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus, or as I like to call them, Bar Mitzvah, take on The Shield in a 6-man tag, aka the match we should have had at TLC all along. Really fun match here. Great to see all 6 guys and their different styles blending here for a really nice gumbo. The match ends when The Shield hit Miz with a triple powerbomb to win the match. Very fun match to watch and great momentum for those guys going into their match at Survivor Series of the New Day. Kurt Angle's back out in the ring and says Jason Jordan will not be able to perform at Survivor Series due to his injury. Jordan hobbles back out there and just cuts this very whiny promo. I don't know if they were trying to go for whiny or if it was meant to be more sincere and just very emotional, like he's making a very emotional appeal to his father, but it comes off very whiny to me. I don't know if that was intentional. If this is not planting the seeds for a heel turn by Jason Jordan, then I don't know what they're doing, but because that's the vibe I got from this one, because he's definitely trying to pull like the nepotism card, trying to say, "Oh, Dad, you should put me in the match because this is the one time a year where Raw and Smackdown goes head-to-head in competition." I love that in this promo he still has to throw that buzzword in there. Come on. In a huge 180 from the opening segment, Stephanie comes out to a pop this time because she's saving us all from more Jason Jordan whining, and she tells Kurt to get on with it. Then all of a sudden Triple H comes out. Triple H is the first time we've seen him in a long time. He announces he is the 5th man now on Team Raw. He then pedigrees Jason Jordan, and that's pretty much it. I guess I can only imagine he's in this match because he really wanted to work Bobby Roode. And just how funny is it that the average age of all of the competitors for this Survivor Series match, the 5-on-5, I think I read the average age is like 40.2 years old. So yeah, how about that new era? It's just insane the fact that like we've got Shane McMahon, Triple H, John Cena, and Kurt Angle in the Survivor Series match in 2017. Now on the flip side of that, you also had the last 4 NXT champions. You've got Roode, Finn, Joe, and Nakamura. So it kind of balances itself out there. But I do think it's very interesting. I feel like Survivor Series has just become like this show where all the old timers and the part timers come back and work out the kinks before they make their eventual WrestleMania matches. And from what you saw on Raw, it seems like they're really giving you a hard sell toward like Triple H and Angle at WrestleMania. I'm like, really? That is not a match I want to see at Mania. I want to see Triple H wrestling Angle. I don't want to see Angle wrestling Triple H. If I want to see Angle make a singles comeback, I don't want him to wrestle Triple H. I would have him wrestle a lot of other different people besides Triple H. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe are forced to set aside their differences for the night as they take on Chad 2 Bad and Tex Ferguson. I'm sorry, I mean Anderson and Gallows. For 2 guys who supposedly hate each other, these guys had a surprising amount of chemistry and teamwork here. Finn hits Anderson with the coup de grace, and Joe immediately bails to show, hey, you know, we're still not friends. But between Joe and Finn and Angle and Triple H, how much infighting do you think there's going to be on Team Raw on Sunday? Here's a match that shouldn't be a main event in 2017. Braun Strowman taking on Kane in a grudge match. This one never really gets started, it's just a big old brawl. At one point they do tease a table spot, but we don't actually get that. Instead, Braun hits Kane with the running power slam and makes a big old cartoon Wile E. Coyote crater in the middle of the ring, and that's how the show ends. Oh, shocking. Very reminiscent to the end of a Raw, like I think it was 1999, when the Big Show chokeslammed The Undertaker straight to hell. Very similar fashion there. And, you know, how many times are we going to see the ring break in 2017 alone and we'll go like, you know, it's not shocking anymore. It's not a big surprise anymore. I think you've pulled all the ring breaking stunts you possibly can with Braun Strowman this year alone. He broke the ring with Big Show, then he broke the cage with Big Show, and now he put a big hole in the ring with Kane. I think you really gotta stop doing the ring breaks for a while. Before we move on to SmackDown, this week's edition of Who Wore It Better is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an app you can download on your iOS or Android device that helps you find a ticket for a concert, sporting event, WWE show, you name it. You can find a ticket at the right price and usually at a great deal thanks to SeatGeek. Their tickets are color-coded, red to green. Red is bad, green is good. They have numerical codes so you know just what kind of a deal you're getting, how good or bad of a deal you're getting with SeatGeek. Now, I've been talking about SeatGeek for a while on this channel. It's a sponsor I have a great relationship with, and the fans have been benefiting too. I've had so many fans message me on Twitter over the last several months telling me they've been able to save money with SeatGeek. Well, now here's your chance again. If you want to save money on your next ticket purchase, go download the app using the link at the top of this description, and we have a brand new promo code. Don't use the old promo code. Use the new one. Go to the accounts tab, type in the promo code Wregret, and you will save $20 on your very first ticket purchase. SmackDown opens up in a very bizarre way where Shane McMahon is like on this stage in this enclosed room with all the SmackDown roster. It looks like he's cutting a stand-up routine, like he's pacing around the stage with a microphone talking about Survivor Series, and then like he's calling out specific roster members, and then it cuts to them and they also have microphones, like Becky Lynch and Kofi Kingston and Baron Corbin all have mics. Like, who gave you mics? It's just a weird thing. This whole opening was very odd. But then it transitions to Daniel Bryan, who goes up to the live crowd, says a lot of the same stuff that Shane McMahon just said in that bizarre stand-up routine. Then he brings out the new champion, AJ Styles. Of course, Styles won in dramatic fashion last week against Jinder Mahal. Now he's facing Lesnar. So instead of Styles cutting a promo by himself, Daniel basically plays Paul Heyman and is the advocate for AJ Styles. He cuts Styles' promo for him, and he basically runs down Lesnar, calling him a quitter when he's under pressure, and that Styles is going to just run Lesnar down. He's going to wear him down and fatigue him. And that's what makes Lesnar's going to quit. And then Styles cuts his own promo where he kind of reiterates that, and then he just kind of ends the whole thing saying, how's AJ Styles built? And that's the whole thing. I don't think you needed both guys to cut promos. Both promos were strong. Not sure you needed both of them, but it was a cool way to open the show if you don't include that bizarro thing with the roster and Shane McMahon in the weird room. First matches for the US title as Baron Corbin defends against Sin Cara. Short but solid match. Corbin retains. I do hope to see more of Sin Cara in the mid-card for the time being. I don't want to see him shunted back down to irrelevancy after this like he was after the Lucha Dragons split up. He was just doing nothing, lost in the shuffle. So it's been cool to see him back here in this capacity. Hopefully they can build him up more. I think he'd be a good addition to the mid-card of SmackDown. Two title matches in a row on SmackDown. We got the women's title as Natalya defends against Charlotte, and a very good match between these two. I mean, you know these two can put on a great match. We've seen it in NXT and on the main roster, and this is no different. Very physical and very intense at times. Great stuff by these two. Charlotte wins the figure 8. She wins in her hometown, and she wins the SmackDown women's title for the first time. She cuts an emotional promo and says her dad's at home. He can't be here, but she loves him. And then all of a sudden he does come out. Ric Flair comes out. It's his first major appearance since his health scare, and they hug on the stage, and it's very emotional. So I thought it was kind of silly. She said, oh, he's not home, or he's not here, he's at home, and then he shows up. Like, was she legit surprised? Was it a work? Who cares? It was a really cool moment. So good match. Cool to see Charlotte winning here. Definitely shakes things up for the match between she and Alexa Bliss for Survivor Series. So now Charlotte is no longer part of the 5-on-5 women's match on SmackDown. So logic, I know logic's kind of silly to be bringing up here in wrestling, but logic would dictate Natalya would just take her place. But they said that later in the show that it's going to be revealed who the 5th member is on Sunday. So probably Paige. After a vignette showing the Bludgeon Brothers are debuting next week on SmackDown, we go to Chad Gable of Benjables taking on Jimmy Uso in a bit of a grudge match or a follow-up from last week, the SmackDown tag title match. A lot of Gable working Jimmy's knee here, being very aggressive, almost bordering on heelish. Again, they're not 100% clear on the matter, but Gable is definitely showing some heelish tendencies without them making it very clear. The match ends when there's some distraction on the outside with Jay and Shelton Benjamin. Chad eats a super kick, and Jimmy wins the match. Good momentum for the Usos going into their match with The Bar at Survivor Series. Solid match, and I look forward to seeing what they do with Chad in the weeks to come. Chad and his dark side, and I'm not talking about Shelton. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If the rumors as to why they were kicked off the European tour are true, they're either heroes of the cause or ungrateful malcontents. You have to pick one or the other. They take on the New Day here in the main event, and I gotta say, you have to love Sami Zayn doing the ska dance to Kevin Owens music. Who doesn't love that? It's a good match between both teams, but of course there's no conclusive finish because out come the Shield with their stitched together t-shirts. It's Raw on one side, Shield shirt on the other. They come down there, and then you have all 5 members of the match. You've got all the 3 of the New Day and Owens and Zayn in the ring. Owens and Zayn bail out, and so it's 3-on-3 for a while. Then out come the Usos. And I love this little moment here where Roman Reigns sees the Usos and he's given pause. He doesn't fight them because, of course, like it's the continuity of the fact they're cousins and he doesn't want to fight his family, even though they're on opposite brands. Nice little moment there, but of course there's more fighting going on. Then the Bar come out, and then the ladies come in and they destroy the other ladies, the SmackDown ladies, and more Raw people come in, and it just becomes a wild, frenetic thing where all of the Raw people are beating up all the SmackDown people. It is pretty much the same thing as the SmackDown Under Siege from a few weeks ago, but it's just the Raw retaliation. And yes, I did complain during that thing a few weeks ago that, like, well, why are these rivals? I felt that the current rivals on SmackDown were just a little too physically close to each other in this beatdown here. I thought that the whole idea of brand loyalty over their personal grudges was a little silly. So that does happen a little bit here on the Raw side, but that be that as it may, I don't think it takes too much away from the overall aesthetic and the moment of what's happening here. Angle comes out, brings out Braun Strowman. Strowman cleans house. The Shield hit 2 triple power bombs on Shane McMahon, and between those 2, Angle hits the Angle Slam on Shane. And so this very emphatic way to end SmackDown with Raw standing tall over SmackDown. Everyone is laid waste on SmackDown now, and Raw's finally got their heat back. I did say that first week after the Raw was under siege thing, I said, well, why didn't Raw fight back the next night? Here's why. They were waiting for this moment, and the wait it was worth the wait. Time now for me to decide which show won for the week, Raw or SmackDown. This week, with Survivor Series looming in the distance, I do have to say SmackDown won for the week. I think it was just a more overall competent show. It was a stronger go-home show, in my opinion. I think that there were far more entertaining matches and segments and moments. Not a lot of wasted motion, not a lot of fluff, not a lot of superfluous things that made me upset. I really enjoyed Daniel Bryan's promo on behalf of AJ Styles. I think Charlotte and Natalya was a great match, and the Raw Invasion was just a great, strong, very entertaining way to end the show. I also should mention Charlotte and Natalya. The Flair return was also very cool, very emotional. The things I thought were bad about SmackDown were very little things, kind of nitpicky things. First of all, that opening bit with Shane with doing the microphone and other wrestlers also having microphones, kind of a weird bit that was just off-putting to me. Also, just one thing I wish, again, it's a 2-hour show, so you don't have a whole lot of time for it, but there was so little involvement from the 5-on-5 for the men's team on this show. We saw a little bit of Rude, a little bit of Nakamura in the brawl. We saw no Randy Orton. We saw no John Cena. You'd think, they announced Cena's involvement in Team SmackDown on Twitter the day after SmackDown last week. If they cut that stupid opening promo by half, they could have easily put that announcement on TV. It would have much more impact. But you've got John Cena mentioned, like, in passing, like he's some spectral figure on Raw and SmackDown, but you don't even see him here. He's not going to show up to the pay-per-view. As far as Raw goes, I enjoyed the 6-man tag team match, the Shield taking on The Miz and Cesaro and Sheamus. I enjoyed the Miz TV segment before that. I thought it was very strong promos by all 3 guys. Triple H coming out and being the surprise 5th member was kind of a cool moment as well as the closing moments of Strowman and Kane going through the ring. It's been done to death. I don't want to see it anymore, but for now, this was kind of a cool way to end the show. And then there's, as far as the cons, though, again, Stephanie, I'm tired of seeing her on my TV. The way she talks down to her cohorts, her GMs, is very disheartening. I just don't want to see that. It's just like, especially the fact that I wouldn't mind it so much if there was retaliation and if she paid the price for her aggressiveness, like they used to be when Vince McMahon did it. Again, we don't get that because the culture is different. It's PG. We don't see that happening anymore. But if that's the case, why the hell is she out there? Bray Wyatt's return. I think this is going to be stuck in my craw for a long time. They wasted his return. And I know people don't like the Sister Abigail stuff, but at the very least, could you have made his return a little more impactful than for him to get fed to Jason Jordan and him just beat him up for a little bit and leave? Like, where do you go from there if you're Bray Wyatt? And then Jason Jordan's weird, whiny promo. Actually, not one, but 2 promos, because in the backstage bit where Kurt's talking to Jason Jordan right after he got hurt, like he kind of cut a lot of the same bits from his promo there backstage as he did live. And it just, Again, very whiny. If that's not what they're going for, then I'm very surprised. I think both shows combined made for a very strong go-home week for Survivor Series, but if you look just one or the other, in my opinion, SmackDown was the stronger show. Let me know what you thought about Raw and SmackDown this week in the comments section below, and be sure to vote which show you thought was better in the gimmick in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. A little programming note: later this week, Jay Biggs and myself will have our Survivor Series predictions video on the channel. Also, keep your eyes peeled for the next episode of Keeping It 100 with Conan and Disco Inferno. I will be a guest on their upcoming episode this week. I had a great time talking to them. We recorded it today, and I had a great time with the interview, and I hope you guys enjoy the final product. So be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Wregret, buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com, and check out Patreon.com/WrestlingWithWregret for exclusive perks and some bonus content. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.